This homework assistance video is for the hot and mild problems for lesson 8, slope. So number 1 says, the table shows the number of pages Adriano read in X hours. Graph the data, then find the slope of the line. Explain what the slope represents. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to graph the data. So we've got time and number of pages. So time is our x-axis, and the number of pages is our y-axis. So the first one is 1 hour and 50 pages. So we go over to 1 hour and 50 pages and we place a dot. And the second one is 2 hours and 100 pages. So we go over to 2 hours up to 100 pages. We've got 3 hours and 150 pages. So we go over to 3 up to 150. And then our last one is 4 hours and 200 pages, so we go over to 4 and up to 200. And then we're going to draw our line. And then it says find the slope of the line. So when we find slope, we're going to do rise over run. So we're going to rise 50. We're going to go over 1. And we're going to rise 50, and we're going to go over 1. Rise 50, over 1, rise 50, over 1. So we have a constant of 50 over 1. So our slope is going to be 50 over 1, or you can just write 50. Now if we look at our our ratio, we would have 1 over 50. If we have 2 over 100, that can reduce to 1 over 50. We've got 3 over 150, which can reduce to 1 over 50, and 4 over 200, which can reduce to 1 over 50. So it's just the reciprocal of our slope. Now the second part of the problem says explain what the slope represents. So the slope represents that for every 1 hour we read 50 pages, or for every 50 pages we spent an hour reading. So now we're going to do problem number 3. This is a hot and a mild problem. So it says the graph shows the average speed of 2 cars on the highway. Part A asks, what does 2, 120 represent? So if we go over here and we look at 2 and we go all the way up to 120, let's see, we're about here. It's this red dot. So it is when car A, because it's red, goes 120 minutes. Excuse me. It's when car A goes 2 hours and 120 miles. Excuse me. So we've got car A going 120 miles in 2 hours. Part B asks, what does 1.5, 67.5 represent? So we're going to go over to 1.5 and up to 67.5, and that's that blue dot. So we know it's car B. So it is when car B travels an hour and a half and goes 67.5 miles. So we'll write that here, car B going 67.5 miles in an hour, and a half. Part C asks, what does the ratio of the y-coordinate to the x-coordinate for each pair of points on the graph represent? So when we think about this, we want to remember what a ratio is. So a ratio is a comparison of two numbers. So the two numbers they want us to compare are the y-coordinate and the x-coordinate. So what is the ratio, or the comparison, of the y-coordinate to the x-coordinate for each pair of points on the graph represent? So basically what it's asking is what do each point mean in relation to each other? So what you should have is the speed of each car at any point, at any given miles. So we'll say the speed of the car at each point. Part D says, what does the slope of each line represent? So the slope of each line should be the average speed of the car. Because each point is a certain speed at a certain time. So when we have that slope, we have a collection of all of those speeds at any given time. And part E says, which car is traveling faster and how can you tell from the graph? Well, if we look at the graph, we've got car A, which is the red line, is a lot steeper than the blue line, which is car B. And so because it's that much steeper, car A is going at a faster speed. And these should help you get along with the rest of your hot and mild problems. Good luck!